Hello and welcome to another episode of Extreme Metal Television. I'm your host, Simon.
And I'm your host, Burke, and in this episode, it's going to be part one of our three-part look back at the Noctis Festival. Now, what did you think of this year's Noctis?
Oh, it was amazing. The mosh pits, the people, the bands, it was just insanity.
Yeah, we've got a lot of footage to show you guys. That's why we're having 3 episodes. But what were one of your favorite bands?
One of my favorite bands was definitely Exciter. Their second time in Western Canada. It was just crazy. They brought that A game, that intensity and the sound that you expect from Exciter. Great show.
Yeah, it was a killer set. And one of my favorite bands, they opened on Friday night, was Dire Omen. What did you think of Dire Omen's set?
Oh, Dire Omen, always bringing that brutality, that great black metal sound. Great way to kick off the Friday night.
Yeah, Edmonton's Dire Omen are brutal as fuck, so why not go to an interview with Dire Omen? There's a new album coming out. Just tell us a little about it.
Say the question again? Sorry?
It's a new album?
New album, yeah. Coming out very, very shortly.
Yeah, coming out by the end of this year, I hope. Yeah, it's in the process of being mixed, and we had some delays, but hopefully we'll get it out by the end of the year. Yeah.
So what can we expect from this new album?
We basically, for those that heard Severing, that was us going a little darker. The album is us going a little more chaotic and trying to explore that sound a little more. So once we went in the direction with Severing, we just knew that it was right. And this is just us developing it and going a little deeper. Well, we played a few shows with Dark Descent bands, which I think that probably helped us out. When we got the distro deal with Serpent's Head Reprisal, it got sent away to a lot of important people who heard it and liked it, and yeah, I think a big part of it was probably just off of music, which is pretty cool. But we were very happy to get signed, and especially this year, there's been so many amazing Dark Descent releases. We're just very gracious to be a part of that.
Once it comes out, how is it going to be available? It's going to be available digitally, CD,
Digitally, CD, and vinyl.
And vinyl too.
Yeah, we will get a few copies to sell by ourselves, but most of the sales are going to be through the label.
Yeah. You can order it all on Dark Descent's website once it's out.
I think it's important then to have those different options out there for fans to buy the music digitally and CD and vinyl. I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely, especially with like physical media being in a more and more uncertain place, especially CDs. The importance of analog formats for underground music, I don't think can be overstated at this point. Like we took tapes and CDs with us on tour, and I think the tapes went pound for pound with CDs.
We still have CDs.
Yeah, we still have CDs. We don't have tapes. People love analog formats still in the age of downloading, and I think that's why vinyls are really key to have.
What have you learned from doing this record?
Where do I start?
You can never be too prepared before recording.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point at which you're like, I'm totally ready for this.
I never would have guessed how hard it would be either. So when we went in and did Severing, we hammered it out in 2-3 days, and it went very smooth. But this time around, you have such a greater sense of this is a real statement.
Hey there, I'm Sam Dunn from Banger Films, and you're watching Extreme Metal TV.
Besides all the kick-ass concerts going on during Noctis, there was also a lot of other things happening as well as the conference, and there were some workshops as well. Did you get to check anything out?
Actually, I didn't get to check any of them out. I didn't actually go to the conference this time around. I did get to check out the air guitar, which we're going to actually touch on in a second here. But I also got to have a sit down and talk to CJ Ortiz, which we'll have on another episode, of course, later on.
Yeah, that's
and
for sure.
To be honest, I've actually followed CJ and his metal motivation for quite a while. And to be honest, just sit down and have a chat with him, it was just amazing.
Yeah, well, I got to take in a panel with Sam Dunn and Eric Greif about crowdfunding. We also got to speak with Sam Dunn. That'll be coming up in another episode as well. But speaking of the air guitar competition, one of our co-hosts was one of the judges on the air guitar competition, our very own James Neal. It was pretty funny, to say the least.
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, the gorilla suit. That's all I could say. The gorilla suit.
My favorite part were the judges. Also, Rav from Villainizer was in there as well too. So let's check out some footage from the air guitar competition, shall we?
First contender of the night is Pajama Jamma, stringing to Crush My Battle Opponent's Balls by Deathclaw.
If I wanted to see a retarded statue play guitar, I would have went to the Abraham Lincoln Memorial. Thank you. So my total rating, sorry.
Hurting pajamas, -1. Simpson slippers, +1. Performance, +1. 2.
I'm not trying to.
Hey, who needs cheese when you got the taco? That is our next contestant. Come on up here, Taco.
Because one, you are very visually appealing, and two, you're very hairy like my wife. I give you a whopping 4. Gorilla suit +2. Woo! Gorilla suit +2 more.
I don't do math.
6.
I've heard of slaughtering animals on stage, but that was fucking ridiculous. 0. 4 hammer downers. Come on up here, hammer. And give them your dimension back in one time.
I give you 3 for having breast and the vagina.
And you did the crab walk. I'm gonna give you a +4 for that one, so you get a 6 as well.
And I liked your crab walk too.
Cold, grim, but there's only one Abbott. I give you 2 points for grimness. Negative 2 points for not being Abbott. 0.
I will give you a hint as a contestant. If anybody likes you, then the black metal guy automatically hates you.
One of my favorite acts at this Noctis was definitely Exciter. I had a chance to sit down and have some drinks with him on 70,000 Tons of Metal, so it was great to see the guys once again. I got to hang out with Rick, who I hung out with him on 70K for 2 days straight. We were just drinking, talking, having fun, and I sat there and I told him, hey, you know, if you're ever in Alberta, we'll definitely do some interview with Exciter for Extreme Metal Television.
Yeah, you can also check out some footage from Exciter and 70,000 Tons of Metal on an old episode of EMTV. I can't remember the number, but you guys can look for it.
It's episode 10.
Ah, he remembers it. It was your introduction to the show.
That is true.
So yeah, we sat down, we spoke with Exciter, actually Cody and Harley. It made Cody's day. He was very happy to speak with Exciter. So let's check out that Exciter interview right now, shall we?
You know, I'm really surprised there's so many Exciter fans in Calgary. I had no idea. Heavy metal maniacs and beers, man. That's what it's all about. That's what we got to say.
Well, the first record, made an impression on the whole world. And it was unexpected for us. We weren't expecting that kind of response, all over the world. So back in those days, there was fan mail, in the mail. And we got hundreds and hundreds of letters from Canada and the US and the overseas. It took us by surprise.
Well, you guys were on a compilation. What was that compilation in the early 80s with Metallica and all that, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if Metallica was on it. It was World War III was US Metal Volume 2. I think you're referring to that one, or?
Yes, and you guys were very well received, and the producers just took off about it.
And the song that was on that record was called World War III.
Yep.
And the record company, Shrapnel Records in San Francisco, was blown away by that particular genre of metal.
Yeah.
And he wanted to sign us to a full record deal. And that's when we came up with the album Heavy Metal Maniac. The ideas came from 70s metal, like new wave of British metal.
Yeah.
Saxon, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath. And that's where I got my inspiration. And I came up with, some of the riffs, or most of the riffs. But I had no idea that it was going to take off and be this totally original musical style for years to come.
Violence and Force and Long Live the Loud as well had wicked responses from the thrash speed lovers. And how do you feel about that? How do you feel it progressed towards the later sounds of Exciter?
Well, the riffs I write today are basically an extension of what I was doing back then, what Exciter was doing back then. So, I meet a lot of fans around the world that say, we're really happy you stay to your roots. You didn't try to go new metal or try to, integrate other styles of metal. You stay to your roots. So, for me, Exciter is what was then and what is now.
How do you feel the lineup changes influenced Exciter? Do you feel it was?
Well, the thing is, the chemistry is still there. And I think basically my guitar styles kind of rules which way the band's going to go.
Right.
And so as a result, the energy level and the vibe is still there, like the original band from the 80s.
What inspires Exciter to keep going on in today's music? I mean, what inspires them to just keep mastering thrash speed metal? I have to ask, because it's never died. Every album is outstanding.
Well, I think you have to remain intense and kind of pissed off when you play metal music. You can't write metal music from a calm point of view. You have to have some sort of frustration or anger in you to write the riffs.
What angers you, John?
Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think Exciter deserve better. I mean, we've been at it for a long time, and we were overlooked for 30 years, and that really pisses me off. So that's I guess, anger.
There seems to be in recent years, there seems to be a resurgence to the classic metal sound. What do you think of this?
I think the young bands, and even young people who weren't even born then, like you, realize where the metal of today came from. It came from us. The old school bands. The speed, the intensity, the thrash, the passion. Well, it came from the 80s bands, like Exciter, like Anvil, like Voivod, etc., etc., So I think they're going back to the roots of seeing where it all came from. And I think metal fans today really, really appreciate that. Especially tonight, the show we're going to play, I've talked to a lot of diehard Exciter fans, so I'm really excited to be here.
Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Extreme Metal Television. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Also, I'd like to thank my co-host, Simon. It's not very often we get to do a show together, so it's a bit of fun for us. Hey, guys, if you'd like to get in touch with us, it's pretty easy. You can email us at extrememetaltv@gmail.com. Also, remember, follow us on Twitter at extrememetaltv.
Like the Facebook page, follow us, get the most pertinent information for Extreme Metal Television.
There were plenty of highlights, Noctis, so before we let you guys go, I'm going to leave you with one of mine. I finally got a chance to see Possessed live. Never thought I would get a chance to see Possessed live. Classic band, put on one killer set, so before we let you guys go, we're going to leave you with a little bit of Possessed footage. And until next time,
keep it metal.